Why, apart from maybe Moody Church in the days of Ironsides, America's never known churches that have crowds this big on Sunday night. Never. But while I'm standing here tonight, there are hundreds and hundreds, especially young preachers across this country, that are bellowing and hollering and screaming and beating the pulpit just like I am, that are playing more havoc with city councils and plan commissions and adult bookstore. There's a fellow right here tonight. Now, I'm not suggesting you do it. A fellow right here in this room tonight. His own pastor preached a sermon on get on fire for God. And he preached against, I think it's an adult bookstore. And the fellow got all excited and he got a little too worked up. And he went down and struck a match and set the adult bookstore on fire. Now, wait a minute, hold it. Now, I'll be in jail in the morning if you do that tonight here. I don't think that's the way to do it. But thank God somebody hates it enough to do it. I passed by a movie the other day, out east, movie house, burned to the ground. I just cried and cried and cried. We had some of our boys here. Bus kids, went down and robbed the Catholic Church one Sunday morning. Got their offering. I'm not for that. Except we're trying to raise $2.5 million. This Sunday they worked on the Lutherans. Methodists the next Sunday. No, I'm not for that. But I'll tell you what. There are more preachers tonight preaching what I'm preaching than this country's ever seen. And there are more fundamental Christians in America tonight than there's been in this country in its history. Now, one thing that encourages me, the reason they're trying to close our schools, they're getting afraid of us. You give us a few years to turn these nuts here loose on this country to Hyles Anderson College. Now, this is what's it going to take. It's going to take complete dedication, giving God everything. That's what it's going to take. All of it. It's going to take every single fundamentalist in this nation saying, I'm going to... Listen, that's one reason why I go so much. I don't know. We can sit here and holler and preach. I'm my holler now, not yours. Stalk and so forth. But I don't think most of us really understand what it's going to mean. If this crowd takes over. I've said this. I am on the list of the 10 most wanted men in America for the Communist Party. I am one of the 10 men in America, first 10 they'll kill when they take over. That's why I want you to work so hard to keep it from taking over. I'm like that kamikaze pilot. There's a Chinese fella, kamikaze pilot, and his name was Chow Mein. Those are the guys, the dive bombers. They just give their lives, just to destroy a building or something. And a fellow said, "Who are you?" Said, "My name is Chow Mein." Said, "Were you in the Army?" "Yeah, I was in the Air Force." "What were you?" Says, "I was a kamikaze pilot, a suicide squad, in the Air Force." Said, "Well, how come you're still alive?" He said, "Me chicken, Chow Mein." Now, me chicken, Jack Hyles. Now, don't kid yourself. They're after us. And the crowd that's after Roloff is a socialist crowd. The crowd that's after Falwell is a socialist crowd. The crowd that's after Roger Voegelin is a socialist crowd. And they're trying everything they can try to squeeze fundamental churches. off the map, and if they take over, they'll send the army, they'll close these doors. And you teenage girls over here will give birth to babies you'll never rear. And you men will have little boys and girls call you daddy that you'll never see. You say, what's causing it? You folks that never win a soul. You folks that give God maybe Sunday morning and sometimes Sunday night. Listen, I resolved about 10 years ago that no Stokely Carmichael or Jerry Rubin is going to holler louder and scream more about their dirty garbage and trash that'll ruin this country. And Jack Hyles is going to scream about this book and the truth of God. Now, the honest truth is, every single person in this building needs to give God everything. All of it. Don't you realize what I do with that thing? Here it is. Don't you realize? I hadn't thought about this right now. Don't you realize what a red letter day it'll be for this crowd if January the 2nd there's no Hyles Anderson College? I doubt if there ever has been a college in the history of the New Testament church, or a church that is completely saturated an area, a big city, like this church is saturating this area. I mean, everybody in the country knows what's going on. I like what old Dr. Elmer Towns said. It's in the introduction, I think, in my book. Something like this, he said. He wanted to come to Hammond First Baptist the first time. Drove down the Dan Ryan Expressway, turned off, tried and couldn't find his way here. Stopped 5 miles away at a service station and said, "Where's First Baptist Church, Hammond?" The fellow said, "Well, you go down." "No, you go over." "No, just sit right there." In less than 60 seconds, there'll be an old blue bus by here. And you just follow that bus. And Dr. Towns said, "Well, no, but what if that bus has already come?" He said, "Mister, there'll be another one in 60 seconds by here." He said, "But what if the both of them have come?" He said, "Mister, between 8:45 or 9 and 9:30, there ain't no 60-second period. What when those old blue buses don't come by here?" And Dr. Towns just sat out there, said, sure enough, within 60 seconds, when those blue buses came by, he followed the bus. I go to the airport many a Monday morning. If I didn't know the way to the airport, I could find it halfway, just following our buses broken down the highway. I dare you to just go down Dan Ryan Expressway some Monday morning early. Just go from bus to bus. Yeah. Young people, listen to me. If you've got rock music at home, you are a part of this crowd. You're a part of it. Rock music is the very beat and tune that Mr. Lenin of Russia said he would use with which to destroy the morals of this nation. He said, "I just don't see eye to eye with you." See nose to nose then, you fool. You don't have to see it. Trust somebody that's got more sense than you have. You say, "Who does?" You're looking at him right now. So what can we do? Give it all. You folks that don't tithe, you're in cahoots with this crowd. But I'm going to use my tithe to pay my tuition. If I find out about it, I'm going to use it to pay your car fare home. Everything. Eight years ago, I decided I was going to give it all ahead. Folks snicker sometime when I get hoarse, cough, clear my throat. He said, why do you do it? I went to a doctor, Jacksonville, Florida, specialist. He looked at my throat, looked at my nose. I think you'll agree I have one of the most beautiful noses in America today. And it's because I use it so much, nose in somebody else's business. But anyhow, he said, Dr. Hyles, he said, I've heard you preach. He said, you're my father's favorite preacher. He said, I can help you. He said, if you'll quit crying when you preach, he said, you won't snort anymore. And I said, that made me cry. I said, Doc, I'm going to keep on snorting.